All right, so we are back, and today we are talking about Naoya Inoue. I still am having trouble pronouncing his first name, but what I'm not having trouble pronouncing is the fact that he's continuing to make a historic run through the sport of boxing, and he just had another knockout. Let's talk about why Inoue truly is a monster. The breakdown, let's go. All right, so as we were all sleeping last night, and as Drizzy Drake and Kendrick Lamar were going bar for bar in this rap beef, Inoue was over in Japan once again defending his, I think it was it all four of the belts at junior featherweight? I'm not sure. But he took on Inoue last night, and a little bit of a shocker, to be honest with you, to start the fight. He gets dropped in the first round. I think that's some stat I think my guy Dan Canobio had put out on Twitter saying that it was the first time in 45 rounds that Inoue had lost a round. And also was the first time he's been dropped in his career. So that was a massive thing. I mean, let's think about it. In Tokyo, in the Tokyo Dome, place that saw Buster Douglas take down Mike Tyson, and Inoue was, I think, a minus 1,600 favorite. That was drama. That was, oh my God, are we going to see one for the history books? And we did, just not in the way that this fairy tale was going to go for Inoue. It was a big deal, and I need to correct myself. Dan says the first time he was outlanded in 45 rounds, but the first time he's ever been dropped. And when you see a great fall, this is what's happening to my guy Drizzy Drake right now. It is shocking. And the reason for that drop, let's be honest, was because Inoue is, I wouldn't say taking Inoue lightly in that moment, but he is very set in his style of boxing, which is an older school style, right? He's looking to be very offensive and very powerful when he lands shots. So when that happens, even at a low weight class, this was at 122, you're going to have openings on the return in. You're going to get countered with some stuff. And in the pocket, especially if your hands are low, like Inoue's tend to be, there's openings to get caught on the chin. What's crazy is, though, that Inoue has fought my guy, legend of the game, multiple-time, multiple-division champion, Nonito Donaire. And he, even with his nasty power, I'm talking vicious destroyer power, hasn't been able to put Inoue down, but Inoue did. And that just goes to show you that it just takes getting hit on the button with the right shot that you didn't see coming. Left hook from Inoue. It was actually a left overhand. Puts him on the canvas, but Inoue gets up, knocks Inoue down in the next round with a nice check left hook flying backward. It was so beautiful to see, too, because his eyes remain fixed even in the fire. It's almost, Canelo-like, where his hands are low, but he's just got just out of range, the sweet science to miss a shot coming in, bang, left hook behind it. That lands and puts Inoue down. He put him down again with another left hook in the fifth, and after that knockdown in the first round, you saw Inoue go into monster mode, and he just kept ramping up. Every pocket of opening he could find was settled by big time shot. Right hand, left hook, jab right hand, double right hand. And that's something that I like that Inoue does too, is that he goes to the well continuously. Like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it type of mentality, where you see a lot of guys, when they have a dude hurt, they'll go to, a different combination of punches and work downstairs to try to get the hands down. Inoue just follows what he did until you stop him from doing it. He throws the double right hand better than I've seen anybody throw it, really, ever. It's just, he'll just keep slamming that right hand through the guard until you just make an adjustment. That's one of the biggest things, I think, in all of sports. That's almost forgotten. I think that we overcomplicate things so much to a degree that we forget the old adage. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. If things are working, go back to them, and that's what Inoue does when he has you hurt. And in the sixth round, we come to no Eminem. We get the kill shot. Inoue, after the drop in the fifth round, is backing up Inoue once again. He had him hurt badly in the fifth round. I think 30 more seconds there, and he probably ends the fight at that moment. But as they get into the sixth, he's walking him forward again, and now he's really starting to find openings with that straight right hand down the pipe. Inoue is taking too much damage at this point, and those legs are starting to feel it just as much as his jaw is, because he's been absorbing shots like a frat boy on a college campus on Saturday night. It's been brutal to that point, and finally, Inoue puts him on the ropes and throws a barrage of punches that ends with a left hook. Again, double right hand. The first one gets through. The second one buckles Inoue, leaves him on the ropes. Again, that power is freakish, even as he continues to climb in weight. Again, it's a little Canelo-esque, and he gets the victory in spectacular fashion. And the question now has to be asked, because you're seeing it everywhere, and every time the Inoue fights, is he the #1 pound-for-pound boxer on the planet right now? You have names like Canelo Alvarez. To be fair, Canelo is still cemented himself at multiple divisions at the highest level with belts. Now, again, undisputed at super middleweight. You have Terrence Crawford, which we have a video coming out about those two right after this one, probably, because that fight is being talked about and funded by the Saudis. Usually that means it's gonna get done. Banger. Fight of the year if it happens. Talk more about it in another video. But anyway, there's a couple of things. One, he's gonna get a knock because he's in Japan and not fighting a lot of big names. But that's not his fault. One, the weight classes he's risen through don't necessarily have a ton of big names. But again, he has fought and beat Nonito Donaire twice. That's a massive deal. And yes, you can say that's at the end of Nonito's kind of run here, but I've talked to Nonito and I don't think he's anywhere near done. He's still a monster. He's still with the shits. And of course, he's a legend in the sport. But I heard the same things when Stephen Fulton came over. And people were talking about Stephen Fulton was going to take him down. And Inoue washed him in 8 rounds as well. He's not just winning fights. He's winning by stoppage. He's TKOing fools. He's knocking them dead. And this is just another example of that with Luis Nery. It's like you have a guy that's this dominant, again, across 3 weight classes now, and undisputed at 2 of those weight classes. It starts to become like, what else can he do? And people want him to move up, but let's be honest, he started his career at what, 108 pounds? He's now sitting at 122. He's 31 years old. If you talk about super fights that are out there, you think about everyone wants to point at Tank. And yeah, Tank would be a fun fight. That would be amazing, but you're talking about him getting to 130, and Tank is small, to be honest, for 135, so it would have to be 130. And I'm with the fight. I love that fight. Make it happen, but that's so far out of Inoue's weight class. And then you talk about 135 and 140. I don't think those are even possible. I don't even think that's a reality to have him go up that high. That's crazy. You're talking about a guy that's the size of Inoue going up and fighting the guys that are normally the size of Devin Haney, walking around at 160. No, bro. You can't. This is not. It's not even sensical. It doesn't make any sense. And if you want to talk about the argument for pound, what he's doing on a, 2 to 3 times a year basis, even if you want to say he's a can crusher, which again, I don't necessarily agree with, just because the names at some of these weight classes aren't as big as some of the names at 147 or 140 or 135 or, 168. I don't think that that's necessarily Inoue's fault, or the fact that he's in Japan and not in the United States fighting a lot, even though people are going to talk about the potential drug issues and things like that are unfounded completely as of right now, so I don't even know what that is. And if it's proven to be that way, then fine, but you can't just say that as a reason he's not pound for pound. And you can use that argument, his volume, to be one of the bigger reasons he is #1 pound for pound, because guys like Canelo and Bud Crawford are only fighting once or twice a year. But Canelo has done this for damn near, at the top level, for damn near 15 years. Like, he has been there at the tippity top since he turned 20. So I still think Canelo is in that top 1 or 2 spot, and you can put Inoue in there, and you could also put Bud Crawford in there. But I think he is amongst the top 3. We can say that. And as he continues to win, and win in the fashion he does, while going up in weight continuously, and not only gathering those belts and becoming undisputed in 2 weight classes, but defending those belts. That's a massive deal that we just forget once you collect the belts and you go to the next weight class. Most guys do that. Inoue is defending those belts and then moving to a new weight class. That's a massive deal. And I think his style is so electric, and people are just enthralled when he takes the ring, because you know that you're going to see a spectacular performance, you're going to see high-level boxing, and you're also going to see a brutal knockout. So yeah, Inoue is someone that continues to impress me, fight by fight, appearance by appearance. As far as what's next for him, 126 is what everyone's pointing to. Go to 126, go to 126. I know he has a couple of mandatories still left at 122, but I have a feeling that 126 is in his future. I don't know if he ever gets to 130, but that would be the dream fight. Him and Tank at 130. I would love to see it happen. I think it would do big time business, big time business, especially if Tank gets through Frank Martin, who's coming up. That fight is not a guarantee for Tank either, but I think that would be the one. That's the dream fight. That's the one that would put Inoue over the top as a massive superstar. But he's making this stuff look easy. Now, granted, a little bit of a scare in the first round, and also I don't like when people take away from pound for pound talks because you've been dropped. The aura of Floyd Mayweather has made boxing such a meticulous gatekeeping conversation for the greats. Like, Floyd never got dropped, and he was also undefeated. So you look at him and you go, oh, well, if you got dropped in your career, you're not as good as Floyd ever was. Like, I hate that kind of stuff, because Floyd also wasn't out here TKOing and KOing motherfuckers late into his career like I assume that Inoue is going to do, or that the more aggressive fighters will do, right? And again, nothing against Floyd. He's one of, if not the greatest boxer ever. All I'm saying is being dropped in this fight doesn't take away from the pound for pound talks for me. Like, people are going to say, oh, well, Bud never got dropped in his career. Like, okay, that doesn't really take anything away from what I think the special thing that Inoue is doing here and why I believe he deserves to be in that pound for pound conversation. He may not be number 1. He may not be number 2. Depending on where you place him, I still think the heavier weight classes do, no pun intended, weigh a little more just because the natural population of the world is that size. So you're going to get more people that are probably a little bit more skilled based on the numbers of people that walk around at that weight, that participate in the sport, that become high level at the sport, just numbers game. But it does not take away from what Inoue's doing. And neither does him being dropped here because, again, the dominant finish and the way he comes back. And not to say there's not holes in Inoue's game. There are. Nonito Donaire bloodied him up and busted his orbital bone open. But that just showed that Inoue can truck through that and continue to be a monster into the later fight. So I thought this was a great performance for him. And obviously on my wish list is that Tank fight. But I would like to see what he does if he wants to defend at 122 or move to 126. And again, this is a tough ask, but get him over in the United States more. I think that would make him a superstar. And you go from there. But you guys let me know what you think. Once again, a monster performance from Inoue. And he shows why what he's doing isn't just special for the lower weight classes, it's special for the sport of boxing. He is 2 times undisputed, and still, as he moves up, knocking motherfuckers dead. That right there leaves the door open for the question we'll leave off on. How many more weight classes can he go up, and can he keep doing this? I don't have those answers, but guess we'll find out.